Hello, this is Bob Gray Sr. Welcome to Ministry Moments. Lord willing, every Friday, 3 o'clock Central Time, will come to you, and you can go to Ministry Moments YouTube, Bob Gray Sr., and subscribe. Help us hit that 500 mark. I noticed the other day we were real close to it. And solvechurchproblems.com, you can go there, a lot of things in that toolbox there. And then your favorite podcast provider, you can go there every Friday. Now, this is not a sermon. This is where I just kind of go through questions and answers and from people and try to help as much as I can. So it's not a sermon every week. I'll chat with you and talk to you about something that maybe some young pastors ask me, maybe somebody not a pastor, but a layman may ask, and I certainly want to be a blessing. So we've got to take this 51 years of ministry and use it to try to help as much as we can. Now, today, we're going to talk about cantankerous church members. How about that? You don't have any, do you? Cantankerous church members. Cantankerous church members. 51 years. Oh, yeah. I've seen a few. And so let me give you some thoughts that I have. All right. You ready? Here we go. Nobody in mind. All right. And I told Brother Howes one time, he said, don't preach to anybody in mind. I said, shoot, that takes all the fun out of it. And he laughed. And he hated my smile. He said, I hate your smile, Bob Gray. He said, I can't, I got a crooked smile. And he said, you rip their face off and then laugh at them, paste their lips back on. Anyway, here we go. Number one, the local church is a body. Now, I'm not laying a foundation here, precept upon precept, but the local church is a body. There's no such thing as an invisible church. That's Catholicism, universal. No such thing. I married my wife. She was a visible bride. When she married me, I was a visible groom and became more visible through the years. So a local church is a body. It's an ecclesia. It's a called out body of baptized believers. The church meets Sunday morning, Sunday night, Wednesday night, a local body. It's a called out body from the world to be prepared to go back into the world and win the world. And we don't lower ourselves. We don't bring God down to man. We bring man up to God. These worship teams are killing us. This blue lights on the platform's killing us. Just get back to old-fashioned preaching and old-fashioned teaching and get back to the fundamentals and quit trying to come up with some new way to get it done in an easier way. It's just hard work. That's all it is to it. The average church only grew by 1.5. Great churches in the past only grew by 1.5 or 2 a Sunday. We grew from 159 to 2,000 in 29 years. But it didn't happen overnight. But it was every week I was out there, buddy. I was 15 hours a week chasing people, trying to get them saved, and average one baptism a Sunday myself for 29 years. So it can be done. Okay, I got off track. All right, are you happy now? All right, number one, the local church is a body. Number two, every body, B-O-D-Y, has an uncomely part. That's why women stand in front of mirrors trying to figure out how to fix whatever. Men stand in front of a mirror trying to get themselves fixed up for Sunday school or church or whatever. And so everybody has an uncomely part. That's just the way that it is. So number one, the local church is a body, a called out body of baptized believers. Number two, everybody has an uncomely part. Number three, however, the uncomely part is still a part of the body. The uncomely part is still a part of the body. Now, like it or not like it, your critics are there, and they have a right to be there. And we're all free moral agents. I got saved because I wanted to. My wife got saved because she wanted to. If you got saved, it's because you wanted to. Whosoever will may come. 22 times you'll find that use of the word will there in that context. Now, I said, number one, we're talking about cantankerous church members. I know you don't have any, but just in case someday you ever get one. Number one, the local church is a body, B-O-D-Y. No such thing as an invisible body. It's a called out body of baptized believers. Number two, everybody has an uncomely part. Number three, however, We've got to reconcile ourselves to this fact. It is a part. Number 4, critics will tell you, this is very important, critics will tell you what you will not tell yourself. So somebody who's a critic, now I'm not saying that you have an open invitation at the end of preaching or teaching, say, okay, anybody got a point you want to make? No, no. Look, if you're teaching right, you're teaching right. You don't need a rebuttal, and it's not a forum. It's not a debate. You're teaching. You are the teacher. You are the preacher. So if they want to come to you in a private setting, and allow them to, then they ought to. I had one man, God bless him, every year he would come see me and tell me all the things I did wrong the year before. And I remember Sue Cawthorn was my secretary at the time. And God bless Sue. What a memory, a great memory. Anyway, she she said to me, so and so's out here to see you. And preacher, you don't have to see him. Because everybody in this church knows he's opposed to you. He's critical of you. Everybody knows it. You're just wasting your time. I said, no, I'm not wasting my time. I'm his pastor. Like it or not like it, have him come on in. So critics, my point being, critics will tell you what you'll not tell yourself. So he sat down and started to, you misquoted this verse, this illustration. And so, and I had my pad, a legal size pad, and I'm writing down number 1, number 2, number 3. And he was particular in what he was saying. Well, he got to number 10. And when he said number 10, I wrote it down, and the Holy Spirit just pierced my heart. And the Holy Spirit said, you're an idiot. He's right. You're wrong. What did I do? I circled it. I still have pride. I couldn't let him know. But I circled it and finished the appointment. And he did it every year, every year. And when he left, I bowed my head and said, dear God, please remind me. You've convicted me, and I will not do that again. Please help me. I may, but you got to help me. Now, my point being that critics will tell you what you will not tell yourself. I had 33 deacons. I didn't need 33 deacons who were yes men. I had at one time over 100 people that drew a paycheck from LBT. I don't need a bunch of people around me that are yes people. I've had them come in. I have one dear Brother Purefoy. He's in heaven now, Mr. Purefoy. God bless them. Every week of the world, they work a bus route, soul winning. And he come in one day and sat down, and always very friendly, very warm. But he mentioned something that he thought I did that was not right. And so I stuck my hand across the table and I said, will you forgive me? And I want to thank you for pointing it out. And I take it to heart. And I made a mistake. And I want you to forgive me. Well, I could have debated him. I could have said, well, you come in here, jump on everything. I could have done that. Now, I've got a sharp tongue. I had an evangelist in my church come in and sat down one time, and he said, LBT needs revival. And I said, no, what it needs is for an evangelist to walk down out with a convert by your side, and you haven't done that in years. So much for listening to my critics, huh? He even wrote a book against me while he was a member. Takes a lot of gall, doesn't it? So we're talking about cantankerous church members. Number 1, the local church is a body. No such thing as invisible. Number 2, everybody has an uncomely part. Number 3, however, it's still a part. Number 4, critics will tell you what you will not tell yourself. Number 5, caution. Here's the caution. You may be right so much of the time that you begin to think you're right all the time. Please don't do that. You're a leader. And I don't answer people. I put something like this, Ministry Moments, and somebody doesn't like it, and they email me or whatever. I'm not going to enter into a debate. I can't help it because I'm right. I'm not going to enter into a debate with you. But I have to be careful because of ministry success, church growth, and on and on. If I'm not careful, I could have made so many right decisions so much of the time that I think I'm right all the time, and I can't do that. I've got to leave myself open to critics. I have to, and you should too. And I'm not saying debate them. I wouldn't do that. It's a waste of my time. I'm not going to do it. But I would evaluate and say, oh, uh, that was dumb. I don't know how many times have I said, Lord, forgive me. I'm an idiot. Forgive. I said to Brother House one time, hey, let me tell you about the first time I heard you. He said to me, I don't want to hear it. And I didn't understand what he was talking at the time, but I do now. Um, I said, number one, the local church is a body, B-O-D-Y. Number two, every body has an accompanying part. Number three, however, it's still a part. Number four, critics will tell you what you'll not tell yourself. Number five, gotta hurry. You're not listening fast enough. But caution, you may be right so much of the time you think you're right all the time. Keep your eye and ears open to the Holy Spirit to speak to you. Number six, dying to self is a key to leadership. It's not about you. These idiots. You gotta look at this Jesus only crowd in fundamentalism now. How dare you say something good about John Rice or Jack Hyles or Lee Robertson or Lester Roloff? Well, those are men in my wife's world and my world that taught me how to love God. And I thank God for them. But yeah, come on, you're standing on the shoulders of people who paid the price for you to be independent fundamental. Um, the bus you're throwing them under is the bus they drove to get you where you're at. It's sad to try to prove a point. Um, Man worship. I don't know if anybody's got an altar to Jack Hyles. I don't know if anybody's got an altar to Lee Robertson or Lester Hudson. No, but I'm not going to throw them on John Rice under the bus. I'm not going to. I'm not going to do it. You ought to get the book that Brother Howes wrote on great men I've known, and he talks about all that the word honor in Ephesians 6:1 and 2. You're to obey and honor when you're at home. You leave home, you get married. You no longer are to obey, but you still are to honor in Exodus 20, verse 12. That's what the first promise with life. Not that you'll live to be 100, but your influence will live. Okay, I'm bogged down. I'm sorry, but I felt like it needed to be said. Number one, the local church is a body. Talking about cantankerous church members. Number two, everybody has an uncomely part. Number three, however, it's still a part of the body. Critics will tell you what you'll not tell yourself. Just expect that. That caution, you may be right so much of the time you think you're right all the time. Number six, dying to self is the key to leadership. I can still hear Dr. Lee Robert, die to self, die to self. I know, oh, he's so right. Number seven, go soul winning with them. Go soul winning with them. You got a critic? Say, hey, I need a partner Thursday night, or I need a partner Saturday morning. Would you go with me? There's something about taking them out and winning souls that softens the blow. I'm not saying that they're going to get right with you or right with what's going on. I'm not saying that they will, but it'll soften the blow. They've got to see another side of you. And winning souls and helping families get back together, help with child raising. When they see you in action, it's going to honestly, it's going to soften their heart. Now they may never like you again. I know that, but at least you do your part. All right. I said number one, local church is a body. Number two, everybody has an uncomely part. Number three, however, is still a part of the body. Number four, critics will tell you what you'll not tell yourself. Number five, caution. Caution. You may be right so much of the time that you think you're right all the time. Number six, dying to self is the key to leadership. Number seven, go soul winning with them. Number eight, write letters of encouragement and love to them. Write them a letter. Thank you for your faithfulness. I was thinking about you today and praying for you, and you ought to pray for them. But write them a letter. Get something in their hand, not a text, but actual. We just don't write letters like we should. All right, we got to hurry. Number nine, talk. All right, tuck their names in a list in a sermon. When you're bragging on people for things that they've done. Now, look, if this guy's been around your church for any number of years, he did tithe. He was faithful. He may not have won souls, but if he tithes, that's the one quality I like in a church member. But I'm just saying, tuck his name in the list. You may be preaching on rebuilding the wall. and start listing all the people who've been with you. If he's been with you 5 years or 10 years, whatever, I've seen them last that long too. You mention their name. Come on now. They're worthy of some of that. They tied. They were there. Maybe they were an usher. I don't know. Maybe you've been a deacon, but tuck their names in a list. Don't, okay, the last point, number 10 is my last point. Aren't you proud of me? Last point. It's like that fat woman going underneath that barbed wire fence. A few more points and we'll be through. That'll get me in trouble. Number 10, do not make them an underdog. Um, Sue said to me, you don't need to see him. Everybody knows he's a critic. I did not tell her that he was a critic. That was her observation. So I'm not going to say to her, yeah, that guy's a scoundrel, boy. I can't do that because she's going to tell somebody who's going to tell somebody who's going to tell somebody the preacher said. Now, and that's the famous thing. A preacher said that, but a preacher didn't even say it. But anyway, don't make them an underdog. I'm going to tell you why. Because they'll rally to an underdog. And boy, now you've got more trouble. So don't make them an underdog. In many cases, when you're attacked like that, you become the underdog, and sympathy's going. They're messing up so bad. They can't figure out Trump. Trump's a jokester, and he'll use some humor, and they'll take it and run with it. He's a dictator. When he was joking, say, "Well, from day one I will be because I'm going to reverse this, and this." It's so funny. They can't. There's no humor. I had 33 deacons. I had 2 black men on the deacon board. And they would tell me all the latest black jokes. They would tell me. I didn't come up with them. They'd tell me. And one of them told me one time, Vic Miles told me, he said, you know what's going to happen when us black people take over America? I said, for what, Vic? He said, we're going to tear down the Statue of Liberty and build an Aunt Jemima over a pancake. I thought it was hilarious. And so I told it to the deacon board, and we laughed. It was Vic that told me. Then I got in the pulpit. I told the joke in the pulpit. We just laugh and laugh and laugh. Can you do that now? I just did. It's you can't. There's no humor anymore. I mentioned in a sermon in Florida under a tent meeting that some of these women put on these tight yoga pants or spandex or whatever it is. I said, if somebody would get on a building, take a video camera their rear end while they're walking down the street, it looked like a pair of hogs in a sack fighting. It's a joke. Boy, I got inundated. I don't know who spreads this stuff, who blows this stuff up on social media, but it would blow up. And man, everybody in the world come after me. Steve Anderson came after me one time and did a video and had wherever I went to preach, there were demonstrations against me and so on. And I love humor. I probably laugh too much, but it's tough out here. It's tough out here. Brother House, you say it's a jungle out there, and he's right. But anyway, we Cantankerous church members, the local church is a body. Number 2, everybody has an uncomely part. Number 3, however, it's still a part of the body. Number 4, critics will tell you what you'll not tell yourself. It's going to happen. Let them do it. Now, you talk to me decently. Now, if you come in my office and lean on my desk and start hollering at me, we're not going to get along very well. I ain't going to put up with that. Act like an adult, act like a Christian, treat me that way, and I'll be glad. I'll discuss anything with you. Caution, you may be right so much of the time as a leader, you think you're right all the time. That's not good. Dying to self, you've got to die to self every day. You have to, is the key to real leadership. Go soul winning with them. Have you thought about that? Take Cantankerous Joe and go win somebody to Christ. Write letters of encouragement and love to them. They've been there. If they're there and they're tithing and if they don't tithe and they show up, recognize that. Letters do make a difference. Tuck their names in the list of people you're bragging on. Tuck it right there in the middle. Number 10, do not make them an underdog. If they're after you, and B.R. Lincoln said to me one time in Crete, Illinois, he said, Brother Gray, as long as They're nipping at your heels. You got the lead on them. And he was right. He used a lot of humor too. But anyway, Cantankerous church members, every Friday, 3 o'clock Central Time, we'll have Ministry Moments YouTube, Bob Gray Sr. Please subscribe. We're up to almost 500 subscribers. So do that. Hey, that's big time, buddy. And then your favorite podcast provider, you can go there and subscribe. SolveChurchProblems.com. You can go there. God bless you. Thank you for sharing this time together. And tomorrow, Soul Winning is preparation day for the Lord's Day. Let's get your guests lined up, get your converts lined up, but let's produce. Let's get people down the aisle and get them baptized. Growing churches are baptizing converts. That's just the way that it is. God bless you. Have a great weekend.